guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. How you guys doing? I am re-uploading this video because I got something wrong that I did want to correct in this one. So thank you if it's your second time watching the video or if it's your first. I appreciate you guys. How was your weekend? I said it before, I'm going to say it again, man. I had my first day in a long time just chilling outside in the sun with my pale white pasty skin, and I binged the hell out of this podcast that I had to share with you guys. Man, oh man, oh man. Philosophize This. Philosophize This is the name of the podcast. I did an 8-part series on Immanuel Kant, and I loved it. I've never listened to a philosophy podcast. Actually, I haven't listened to any philosophy podcast, but I listened to a bunch of books. I never consumed anything that the host breaks, some complex arguments down in a way that's very entertaining, easily digestible. I loved it. I highly recommend it to you guys if you have even a parting interest in philosophy. Kind of like Hardcore History with Dan Carlin. If you haven't listened to that one, definitely give it a shot. Kind of like that version on philosophy instead of history. Anyway, guys, we have Deliana Chase available right now inside game. This is a limited edition event. And that's what I got wrong that made me had to re-record the whole video. I said limited time champion. That is not the case. They're actually making a change in these events. They're no longer exclusive champions. And I don't know how I feel about it. And I want to actually talk to you guys a little bit about that through the remainder of the video. But first, let's just talk about this champion. So you log in now, 7 days between now and July 28th. You claim, an artifact every day. And then voila, on day 7, you get this Deliana. Deliana is a Force Affinity High Elf champion. She is actually, I think she's pretty cool. I think she's like not a bad, aesthetically she looks really cool. Like these orbs look awesome. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this as well, but look to me, she's like the Yumeko. She's like Yumeko, but only with the orbs and a little bit extra pizzazz, Not as good as Yumeko, though. But let's talk a little bit about her skills really quickly. An AoE HP, leech on the A1, HP base champion, right? So an AoE leech, 60%, not bad at all, really good A1. On the A2, it's decreased resistance if the target is under block buffs. It's gonna spread that decreased resistance to all other enemies, okay? This is on a 3-turn cooldown. Okay, I'd rather have it just predicated on a critical hit or something. If it's critical, it spreads it to all enemies, something like that. Having that condition, or that prerequisite, I guess, with the block buffs having to be there is kind of meh. In decreased resistance isn't that OP of an ability that it just can't, just exist on the skill to begin with. But, maybe I'm being a little nitpicky here. On the A3, an AoE attack, again, based on HP, not HP burn, based on her total HP. Attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of placing block buffs for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown when both. The books are not that bad on this champion, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels. I guess they could be better, it could be worse, right? Average books. Heals all allies by 5% of the max HP. For each block, buffs, debuff placed by this skill. Okay, that's based on their max HP, not her max HP, which would have been preferable, but it is what it is. Fills champion's turn meter by 10%. Each block or resist on that block buffs, which is pretty cool. It'd be interesting to see if they add this to other champions. If their debuff does not land, they get turn meter instead. That's kind of a really cool addition to this ability. I would love to see this on a 3-turn cooldown, 4-turn cooldown. All right, block buffs, we have champions like Umbral Enchantress, who has Immolate, her A2 ability, and I mean this is block buffs 100% on a 3-turn cooldown that lasts for 3 turns. Just up there all the time, Now, it's kind of an unfair comparison. They're much different champions, and I don't want to be... Let's just finish her kit, right? Passive effect, increase champion's accuracy by 2 for each 1,000 HP this champion has, and then a strengthen buff. This is an active effect on a 4-turn cooldown. Places strengthen on all allies for 2 turns every time this champion's HP drops below 50%. Not bad, right? And I do like the accuracy by 2 for every 1,000 HP, especially helps new players trying to meet those accuracy thresholds, right? HP in all battles by 33% is a very, very good aura. Now think about it this way, anybody logging in right now has access to this champion. I think this is going to be a great champion for a lot of players. Listen, you'll have a bunch of content creators or people in the comments and all over the place saying that this champion's trash. She's not that good, because the truth is she's not a top legendary in the game. But you always have to look at it through the perspective of new players or players who just started playing maybe a couple months ago, just boom, just getting this legendary added to their roster. it's not bad, you know? Block buffs, an AoE leech on the A1, a lot of HP, you know, not bad, not great, you know? Overall, I would say that she's a far cry from Ninja, right? A far cry. She's way, way worse. Ninja is a top 20 champion inside the game, right? But she's also, in my estimation, she's not as bad as Alexander the Sharpshooter, who can also help a lot of new players out with an AoE decreased defense, a chance at weaken, albeit a conditional one, and decent multipliers, right? So I feel like she's kind of in the same camp as Alexander the Great. And I think that most people are probably going to say she's a very average to below average champion. Personally, I think that she is a little bit better than Alexander because she helps you a little bit more in the support realm, especially with that AoE leech on the A1. She's kind of easy to keep alive, stuff like that. Block buffs is very, very, very valuable debuff to have in the game. There's not a ton of champions out there who have it either. So, you know, she has a little bit of a heal. She got turn meter. She got block buffs. I think that she is an okay champion, but I'm glad they're doing this. I'm glad that they're adding these champions that everybody can have access to inside the game, right? So that brings me to my last kind of talking point on the video, right? I think that she's maybe what would you give her as a letter grade? I think I'd give her like a C+. Alexander C, you know, Ninja A+. So there's definitely a wide, you know, gap there between those champions. But overall, I think it's cool that they did it. Have I made my point clear yet, guys? All right, but check this out. Deliana, this is what I missed the first video, so I had to re-record, you know? Deliana will only be available to summon from shards after the Deliana chase finishes on July 28th. So she's exclusive only until the end of the event, and then we can pull her from shards. Man, so I think they're doing this to try to curb the negativity and the complaints after the Ninja event, especially. No one's really super complaining about Alexander the Sharpshooter, right? But people who missed out on Ninja have been very vocal. A lot of people just feeling not good about it at all, right? Overall, I'm actually for these events, even though it does suck not to have access to these champions. Like, that's my own personal opinion on it. But I don't know. I feel like this is also kind of weird. No? Because it dilutes the whole pool, man. Like, nobody is going to be happy about pulling a Deliana. You know, I guess unless it's a year from now and those players don't have access to or didn't have access to the event. It's kind of like pulling a fragment summon champion that is mediocre, like a Rorik, you know, Wormbane or something. No offense, Rorik. It's kind of like pulling him, but this is even more kind of in your face because it's totally free. It's like, here's a totally free champion that, you know, we're going to annoy you in the future by giving you them from ancient shards or sacred shards when you think you've gotten the legendary that you don't already have for free. So how do you guys feel about that? I don't want to be just a big complainer here, because ultimately a free champion's a free freaking champion. A free legendary's a free legendary. But still, and the legendary, you know, faction wars or elsewhere in the game can help out new players, certainly progression players, you know? Sometimes a new player is kind of a catch-all phrase for people still kind of struggling to progress through the traditional dungeons in the game, right? So I think that it's a good move, but I don't know how I feel about this, man. Because right now I feel okay, but dude, the first time that I pull a Deliana from an ancient shard or a sacred shard, first time that I trigger my freaking mercy on a Deliana, I am not going to be a happy camper, my friends. So how do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.